Hello everyone, Coming Clean here. So you are thinking about picking up some of these bad boys, but you're not sure if it's worth the investment in time and money. Then you're in luck, because in this video I will feed your confirmation bias and give you 6 reasons why Skylanders are worth getting into in 2023. Let's get started. In short, the Skylanders games are in my opinion great games, well worth still buying even if the franchise is discontinued. I want to make it clear that the games may not be for everyone. If you don't care about replaying your games multiple times, or if collecting things just isn't your thing, you should probably stay clear. For the rest of you, here comes 6 reasons why Skylanders are worth getting into. Number 1. Buying Skylanders is a solid investment. You may be afraid of all the money you're going to spend, and possibly also rightly so. Stuff for Toys to Life games was and still is expensive to collect. You can of course set up limits for yourself, like focusing on certain games, settling for one Skylander of each element and so on, but you shouldn't feel too much of a concern, even if things get out of hand. And why is that? The used market for Skylanders has sort of stagnated in its prices. They vary slightly over time and between different regions, but to a large extent they have and probably also will stay the same for a foreseeable future. You can therefore rest easy in that you will probably get back, if not all, then at least most of your money, should you decide to sell your collection eventually. Or maybe you'll end up starting a collection for Starlink, Disney Infinity, and LEGO Dimensions too. Who knows? Reason number 2 is that the Skylanders games are one of the best family gaming experiences out there. I actually made a whole video on that topic that I'll link to in the description. There are many reasons why the Skylanders games are so suitable for players of different ages and experience levels. For example, its multiplayer aspects, except for the racing, all use a shared screen, meaning you don't have to rely on split screen. The characters' movesets are also very easy to learn, but in later games also hard to master, perfect for players of different skill levels. I could go on about the game's terrific writing, the nuanced sense of humor, and the multitude of colorful, charismatic characters, but I cover most of that in my dedicated video. There are many family-friendly games out there, but take my word for it, the Skylanders games are among the best ones. The third entry on my list why you should get into Skylanders is that the game features a large amount of different playstyles. This can be true for many games, but in the Skylanders games it's a big part of the core experience. The developers have done a terrific job in differentiating the playstyles of the various characters across all games in the series, and this is quite remarkable considering the amount of playable characters. Melee and ranged characters are equally fun to play as, and you have such a plethora of archetypes to choose from that chances are you'll never get bored. Being action RPGs, all Skylanders from all games come with upgrade trees and unlockable abilities, but they are not the most complex games out there. Therefore, if a character's moveset ever gets stale, it's a good thing that another character is usually not more than a few feet away from the portal. That being said, some types of Skylanders, like the Swappers and Imaginators, where different types of abilities can be combined in various ways, it will take even experienced gamers some time to fully explore all the ins and outs of a particular character. And the Senses from the last game really turns it up a notch when it comes to character complexity. Let's just say that there is a character and playstyle for everyone in any of the Skylanders games. The next point on my list is that the Skylanders games have great replay value. You may be afraid to get into the franchise, thinking that it will cost too much and take up too much space for a potentially short-lived experience, but let's just say that you are unlikely to put the Skylanders games on the shelf after a single playthrough. There are challenges on each level that you are unlikely to complete on the first try, especially not the timed ones. There are also multiple difficulties in all games but the first, but neither of these is the main thing that will make you grind the same levels multiple times. That would be, again, the many playable characters. Replaying the same level with a different Skylander usually makes up for a completely different experience. Enemy encounters are tackled in substantially different ways as you explore which Skylanders work best in any given situation, and even though the upgrade trees are simple, grinding out the levels to unlock new abilities can become really addictive. Even playing the same levels with the same Skylander after gaining a new skill or two can significantly change how you go about when tackling your foes. It's part of the reason why you really don't need to buy all 6 games at once. One of them will keep you busy for a while. The next point on my list is the game's writing. This might seem a bit picky, but it's definitely worth a mention. In the various games' different cutscenes and dialogue, any given Skylander you play as is referred to as Skylander, and sometimes the fourth wall is broken and they address you, the player, as Portal Master. This is of course necessary as the game doesn't take into account which Skylanders are currently on the portal, and of course they didn't do character-sensitive dialogue as the games have simply too many playable characters. However, there is a cast of NPC characters that drive the story forward, and some of them are present from the first game to the last. The voice actors are all excellent and a nuanced sense of humor is spot on, so players of various ages all have something to enjoy. Sometimes it can feel like you and your Skylanders are simply along for the ride as you watch other protagonists and villains interact with each other, but the well-made cutscenes and the way the story binds all levels and even games together is really well made and deserves to be mentioned. And that brings us to the final point in which I want to highlight the general uniqueness of the Skylanders games. This point is somewhat of a mixture of all the previous ones, as the multiple playable Skylanders, the terrific character design, the gameplay, the variety, the writing, and of course also the physical figures makes up something that you really can't find anywhere else. So if you are thinking about starting a Skylanders collection, one of the biggest arguments is that the franchise represents a piece of gaming history we are likely to never experience again, at least not in its current form. If you want to start a collection, you may want to check out my video about common mistakes people make when collecting Skylanders. Watch it by clicking on the video right now. That will be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Coming Clean and I will see you next time. Take care!